Every morning, the old motorcycle coughed to life. Its engine sputtered like an old man waking up. Leo, who was only a boy, would pat its rusty side and say, "Come on, old friend," and then, "We have a long way to go." The sun was just peeking over the hills, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and pink. Leo put on his worn-out helmet, which was honestly too big for his head, but it was all he had. He kicked the starter, and with a final roar, the motorcycle was ready. The journey to the factory was long and dusty. He felt the wind on his face, and honestly, it was his only moment of freedom each day. The road wasn't smooth at all. It was full of bumps and holes, so Leo had to be really careful. He knew every crack in the pavement and had memorized every dangerous turn. Sometimes stray dogs would chase him, barking loudly. Other times, big trucks would rush past, leaving him in a cloud of thick black smoke. He held the handlebars tightly, his small hands strong from years of this ride. He saw other children going to school in their clean uniforms, laughing and carrying their books, and for a moment, he would feel a small pang of sadness in his chest, but he quickly pushed it away because he had a job to do. The motorcycle was more than just a machine to him. It was his partner. It had been his father's, a memory of a man he barely knew. The seat was torn, and the paint was peeling off in big flakes, but Leo took good care of it. Every weekend, he would clean it with a wet rag and check the oil, tightening the loose bolts. He knew that without this motorcycle, he couldn't get to work, and without work, his family would have no food. So, he treated the old machine with love and respect. It was his lifeline, his steel horse that carried him towards a future he was determined to change. As he got closer to the city, the air changed, becoming thick with the smell of factories and exhaust fumes. The quiet sounds of the countryside were replaced by the loud noise of traffic. Horns blared and people shouted. Leo navigated through the chaos with skill, weaving between cars and buses. A small boy on a noisy machine. He was just one of many people rushing to their jobs. But in his heart, Leo felt different. He was not just going to work. He was riding towards a dream. A dream that was still small and far away, but it was his, and every push of the pedal was a step closer to it. The factory was a huge grey building. It seemed to swallow the sunlight. As soon as Leo walked in, the noise hit him like a physical blow. The constant clanging and whirring of machinery was honestly deafening. He worked in a corner of the vast floor, packing small plastic toys into boxes. The work was repetitive and boring. His fingers moved quickly and automatically. Pack the toy, close the box, put it on the belt. Over and over again for 10 long hours. The air was hot and stuffy, and it always smelled of melted plastic. He felt like a small cog in a giant, uncaring machine. His hands were often sore and covered in small cuts. The sharp edges of the plastic boxes were really unforgiving. His back ached from standing all day. The supervisor was a large man with a loud voice. He would walk up and down the aisles, watching everyone. If someone slowed down, he would shout, "Faster, faster, we don't pay you to stand around." Leo kept his head down and worked hard. He did not want any trouble. He just wanted to do his job, get his small wage, and go home. Many of the other workers looked tired and hopeless. Their faces were blank, their movements slow and mechanical. Lunch break was the only time he could rest. He would sit outside on a broken crate, away from the noise, and eat the simple meal his mother had packed for him, some rice and a few vegetables. While he ate, he would watch the world outside the factory gates. He saw people in nice clothes driving clean cars, talking on their phones and laughing. They seemed to belong to a different world, a world where people didn't have sore hands and aching backs. He wondered what their lives were like. He wondered if they had ever known what it felt like to be this tired. The biggest challenge was fighting off the feeling of despair. It was easy to think that this was all his life would ever be, day after day in the noisy, hot factory. Some days, it felt like the grey walls were closing in on him. It was hard to keep hope alive in such a place. But Leo had a secret weapon. Inside his mind, he would build a different world. He would imagine a future where he was the one driving a nice car, a future where he was the one laughing freely. This mental escape was his shield. It protected his spirit from being crushed by the monotonous reality of his daily work. At night, Leo would lie on his thin mattress. His home was a small shack with a tin roof. When it rained, the sound was like 1,000 tiny drums. He shared the small space with his mother and 2 younger sisters. After a long day at the factory, his body was exhausted, but his mind was wide awake. He would stare up at the ceiling and dream. His dreams were not of toys or games like other boys. He dreamt of business plans and new ideas. He dreamt of starting his own company. He wanted to build something that was his, something that would give his family a better life. He had a secret notebook that he kept hidden under his mattress. Every night, he would take it out and write in it with a small pencil. He wrote down his ideas, drew designs for new products, and made lists of things he needed to learn. He wanted to start a business that made useful things for people in his village. Maybe stronger tools for the farmers, or cheaper water filters. He knew he didn't have much education, but he was smart and observant. He paid attention to the problems people faced every day, and in those problems, he saw opportunities. His mother would often find him awake, his face lit by the dim light of a single candle. She would say, "Leo, you must sleep," her voice soft with worry. "You work so hard." He would smile at her and reply, "I am working, Mama. I am working on our future." She did not always understand his drawings and notes, but she saw the fire in his eyes. She saw his determination. So, she would simply stroke his hair and let him continue. She believed in her son. His hope was a small light in their difficult lives, and she did not want that light to go out. His dreams were his escape, but they were also his motivation. They were the reason he could face the long motorcycle ride every morning. They were the reason he could endure the noisy factory all day. He knew that every cent he saved was a brick for the foundation of his dream. It was a slow and difficult process. Some days, he felt that his dream was impossible, a silly fantasy of a poor boy. But then he would look at his sleeping sisters and his tired mother. He knew he could not give up. He was their only hope for a life beyond the tin roof and the factory walls. Leo started small. He used his meager savings to buy a few old tools. In the evenings, after his long shift at the factory, he did not rest. He went to work again, but this time for himself. He started by repairing things for his neighbors, broken chairs, leaky buckets, and old farm equipment. His work was good, and he was honest. Soon, word spread around the village. People trusted the boy who worked so hard. He never complained. He always had a positive attitude. He believed that every small job was a step towards his bigger goal. His hands were always busy, and his mind was always thinking. He saved every single coin he earned from his repair work. He lived very simply, never spending money on himself. While other boys might buy sweets or a new shirt, Leo bought more tools or a book about business. He taught himself to read and write better. He studied how machines worked. He spent years like this, working 2 jobs, saving and learning. It was a lonely and exhausting path. There were many times when he wanted to quit, but then he would remember his dream, the one he had written down in his secret notebook. The memory of that dream gave him the strength to carry on. The turning point came when he had saved enough money to buy a small welding machine. He had an idea to create a new, more efficient type of stove for cooking. The traditional stoves used a lot of wood and created a lot of smoke. His design used less fuel and was safer. He built a prototype in his small workshop behind the shack. It was not perfect, but it worked. He took it to the village market. At first, people were skeptical, but when he showed them how much wood they could save, they became interested. He sold his first stove, then another, and then 10 more. From there, his small business grew. He quit his job at the factory. He hired a few people from his village to help him. He never forgot where he came from. He treated his workers with respect and paid them fairly. His company, Leo's Innovations, became known for its quality and honesty. The boy who once rode a rusty motorcycle to a factory now owned the factory. He became wealthy, a millionaire, but he never lost his humility. He knew that his success was not luck. It was the result of years of hard work, a positive attitude, and a dream that he refused to let die. His journey proved that with determination, anyone can turn their motorcycle rides into a road to millions.